It's September 4th, and this is what happened in history on this day. London in the 1660s was an overcrowded mess. Urban sprawl. Almost all the houses were made of wood. Roofs were made of thatch, which is this straw, dry vegetable-like material. And all the streets were narrow with houses super close to each other. London at this time was a flammable disaster just waiting to happen. And on September 4th, 1666, they experienced the most destructive day of the worst fire they've ever seen. Now, let me take you back a couple days. On September 2nd is when the fire actually started at a bakery on Pudding Lane. Now, fast forward to September 4th. At this point, the fire is going crazy, it's out of hand, but they were a little hopeful. They thought that they could stop it. See, the fire was spreading and it was about to hit the River Fleet, and they were thinking, hey, it's about to hit the water, we'll be able to contain it and put it out like that. Problem was, the wind was crazy this day, and a strong gale made this fire jump clean across River Fleet. Now they have a really bad issue because this fire is headed straight toward the Palace of Whitehall and the more affluent, luxurious side of town. That fire does spread over there and starts burning up all of these rich folks' neighborhood out over there in West London. On the other side of town, east from where the fire started in Pudding Lane, it was spreading even more, and it was headed straight towards St. Paul's Cathedral. Now, they again assume, hey man, St. Paul Cathedral is gonna be safe. It'll basically be a fire break. It'll stop the fire. They said this because it had thick stone walls and a wide, empty plaza, a spot where a fire really shouldn't be able to just burn freely. They gathered up a bunch of stuff they managed to save from the fire, goods, books, things like that, and they stored it in St. Paul's Cathedral. And they had a problem over here as well. See, the cathedral was going through renovations and it had wooden scaffolding all over it. As you guessed it, this also caught on fire. Within a half hour, the lead roof of the cathedral was melting and the cathedral was burnt down soon after that. Now, when all was said and done, this fire did devastating damage. Over 13,000 homes were burned down, leaving about 80,000 people homeless. Almost 100 churches were burned to the ground, and it did over $2 billion worth of damage in today's money. $2 billion. Now, we've all had a first day of school, many of them, but have you ever had a first day of school when you put on your best fit and you go up to the school and there's an angry mob that wants you unalived? That is what 9 children were experiencing this day back in 1957, not that long ago. See, 3 years earlier, the Brown versus Board of Education outlawed segregation, and it determined that separate but equal really wasn't equal. So by 1957, the NAACP had vetted and handpicked 9 students to attend Central High in Little Rock, Arkansas. Now, this was a big moment in history. Just because Brown versus Board of Education changed the law, it was one thing actually going to do it and getting a backlash from it. Now, this is where Arkansas Governor Orville Faubus comes in. On September 4th, he sent the Arkansas National Guard down to Central High to keep the peace. But in reality, he sent them there and told them, do not let them into this school. So these 9 black children go up to the school and the mob is going crazy. One of the students, Elizabeth Eckford, said, I tried to see a friendly face somewhere in the crowd, someone who maybe could help. I looked into the face of an old woman and it seemed a kind face. But when I looked at her again, she spat on me. There are rocks being thrown at these kids, cursing, screaming, saying some of the most heinous things you will ever hear in your life. And when they finally get to the doors, their own state's National Guard is barring them from entry. Now, obviously, this situation was nationwide headline news. And this is where the president, Dwight Eisenhower, comes into play. He meets with the Arkansas governor, Orville Faubus, and he's like, look, let these kids in. This is the law of the land. Brown versus Board of Education outlaws segregation. Use your National Guard to protect them and just let them go to class. You're not above the law. And he felt like Orville Faubus heard him out and he seemed like it was okay with it. So Dwight Eisenhower leaves this meeting and he's feeling pretty good about it. Orville Faubus goes back and completely calls off the National Guard. And he throws his hands up and he's like, well, I hope nobody gets shot. I hope there's no violence. I don't know, those kids, hope they're gonna be okay. Now, Dwight Eisenhower didn't take presidency with the aim of helping the civil rights movement out or changing the country in that way, getting rid of segregation. It wasn't really his main goal, but that was a huge issue in America and it was forced on him and he had to face it. But even more than that, he was looking at this Governor Orville Faubus like, why is you playing with me? No man is above law. No governor, no state official, anybody is above federal law and what I say. This is how President Eisenhower was thinking. So he ends up sending the 101st Airborne out to the school. This is one of the most storied, legendary units in all of military history. This is the same unit that guys landed on D-Day for World War II. And now a couple weeks after September 4th, they were here again in a huge moment in American history. So imagine this, kids are back at Central High, Little Rock, Arkansas, trying to go to school. The mob is bigger, the mob is more angry, but now the 101st Airborne has hundreds and hundreds of guards around them. Multiple men surrounding each kid, a helicopter flying overhead. When they're in the classroom, they're standing by their desks, protecting them throughout the whole day for the whole year. This was a real show of force, and this stood for something bigger in America and a message to American people. You are not above federal law and the law of the land. Now fast forward to May 1958. Ernest Green becomes the first black person to graduate from Central High. Funny thing is, the principal advised him not to go to the graduation. He said, man, listen, we'll mail you your diploma. You don't really want any trouble, just stay home, just be safe. Ernest Green was like, hell no. After everything I've been through the whole year, I'm about to go to this graduation in my gown, be proud, and throw my cap all the way to the moon. That's all I have for y'all tonight. Every single day, we're talking about key notable events in history that happened on that very day. I'll see y'all tomorrow. You dig?